Okay, here we go. Hello, 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 and welcome to Beautiful Chaos. Today I'm joined by my beautiful co host, Keegan. Keegan, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Always fun when we get together and chat about everything we're going to chat about today. In
It's a
today's
nice breath of fresh
conversation,
air.
yes, and today's conversation may challenge everything you've ever been taught about aging. Because somewhere along the way, someone convinced us, they told us that growing older meant becoming less. And
Yeah.
it's actually what I'm finding is it's less relevant. They've told us it's less relevant, less beautiful. But what I'm finding is actually the opposite and what I'm discovering about myself in those moments. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about that and a little bit about how midlife isn't really a decline. And what if it was more of a revolution? And what if, as women, we could band together now and join this new revolution? What do you think about that, Keegan?
Agreed. And how we can empower each other because I feel like aging is definitely empowering because it's a privilege, first off, that not a lot get to. Many,
Hmm.
unfortunately, lose their lives way before they even get to experience midlife. But I see it as not only a privilege, but a way to no longer gatekeep and like really turn experience into wisdom.
Hmm.
And that part alone is really empowering. And you start thinking about your legacy and what you want to leave behind.
Yeah. And I've
And
been
I want to
thinking a lot
encourage.
lately. I've been thinking a lot lately about who the hell decided this? Who the hell told
Yep,
us that, youth was the pinnacle of life, and who wrote that story and who benefits from that story? Like, more importantly, I'm like, well, who wrote it and then who the hell benefits from it? Because we're not definitely benefiting.
exactly. Exactly. And that's kind of what I mean by legacy, too. Like, what kind of legacy do I want to leave behind? Do I want to repeat these patterns of thought, or do I want to leave a legacy behind that getting old is beautiful and every stage of womanhood is beautiful and every
Mhm.
stage is and should be honored, and really starting to like break it down. Because I know we've talked about before, the maiden, the mother, the enchantress, and the crone, and like really honoring those stages because they're more milestones to meet as we get older. It's not like you turn 21 and die. And I feel like there's no like major milestones that are really being honored. And who did this? Like who started that?
Yeah, I can almost guarantee you it was a
Thank
man.
you.
It
Yeah,
was a
but then
man.
yes, and then we can go into like our culture and how we're obsessed with youth to the point where we have like pedophilia and stuff, you know what I mean? Where people are just so disgusted by aging and what it brings. And it is really horrible because then it also expresses how we treat elderly people and how we treat ourselves.
Yeah. It's
Who do
such
you think
a
started it?
I know a man started it, and I know they probably started to make money somewhere along the way. That let's sell this product to a woman that's aging, and so then she can find the fountain of youth, and she can become younger and feel better and look better, and everybody will be attracted to her, and she'll make so much money because she looks younger. But I think
Can
our
you
society.
imagine Could you imagine how many systems would completely flop if women embraced aging instead of clung on to the vanity of youth? Like how many businesses and corporations would just completely flop because their
Yeah,
entire business is built on the insecurity you have of aging and
yeah.
trying to hide it and mask it and stop it.
And
What would
it's
that look
really
like?
it's trickled into men as well now because
Mhm.
before it used to be like a men were distinguished when they had their little bit of gray hair, right? And so now even the agent is going and targeting men as well. So we're not saying now, back then it was more based towards women, and now this whole revolution about, because we're not going to have all the answers while we're here. I've said this before, we're not going to know everything, we don't have all the answers while we're here, but while we're here, why can't we like look at this, and what is this fear of aging about, and why are we so fearful of it? Because what comes with that aging is that wisdom that you talked about, and I want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that, because the wisdom is something that's behind that, right? If we're selling this premise that aging is bad. We're not going to really want to tap into that wisdom that comes with our age, are we?
Mm-mm. And you're not going to want to reference the stupidity of youth, because then what are you clinging to?
Right.
Because there's a lot of stupidity around youth. So why are we idolizing youth? We say all the time, it's a very big oxymoron. Like, you're not allowed to, you know, there's a big oxymoron around youth. And let me see if I can formulate this right.
Okay.
It's like you come from this idea that children should be seen and not heard, right? Children are annoying, teenagers are annoying, adolescents are stupid. You make all your bad decisions in youth. You experiment in youth. You mess up your life in youth, and you're supposed to come back from it. Like, all of these stereotypes around youth, right? But yet that is what we hold on to, instead of all this wisdom that comes with ascending into adulthood and being conscious of your life. To me, it's kind of like a cop out at this point, so you can continue to do bad shit.
Yeah, now they could document all that bad shit that you do.
Yeah.
Now
But
it can
really,
be
like,
seen by
what is
everybody.
the appeal? What is the appeal to youth that you can't have in aging with the wisdom of it?
Yeah. I think that goes
What is
hand in
appealing?
hand. Yeah, I think that goes hand in hand with, we're promoting this age of living longer, looking younger, feeling better, when in reality, and we've said this before, is if you don't feel that within you already and you're looking outside for something to bring you something, you are not going to find it. You can get plastic surgery, you can do everything you want to do, but if you don't have that within you already, you
Nothing's gonna
know
help.
adding to that, right, nothing is going to add to it. So you have to understand that being in this place of midlife, and what I love about midlife is sort of I wonder if I'm going to say this right. Okay. It's sort of like reverses all of those things that you were taught. And it allows you to be in this space of more like your youth, where you
Yeah.
didn't apologize for things. You thought you knew at 18. I thought I was the smartest I ever was, right?
Yep.
And it allows you
Exactly.
to be in this space of not apologizing anymore. I'm not going to ask for permission. I'm not going to apologize for something that I want, or just to keep the peace in the family. And I think, you know, we've been taught, even as you said about our youth, that you do these stupid things, but it's acceptable because you're young. Now, what happens
Right.
when we get old, right? We just want to push you in a corner and say, oh, okay, you'll be better off over here.
Or
Whereas in
you
the
should know
meantime,
better.
you should know better. I do, and that's why I'm telling you this.
Yes.
I think, a lot of times there's so many women, and you have to look at it because midlife is such a, for me at least, it's been this strenuous process, and it's really been difficult, on my body, on my mind, on my soul, going along with everything already that's going on in the world. But when you come into midlife, it's almost like it's impossible to ignore all of those truths that you've learned up until this point. How do you go about life ignoring what is going on in the world? There's more people speaking out about it and they don't care. There's more people standing up for the children. There's more people saying, I'm going to fight this and I'm not going to be, just told I'm this old lady and to sit in the corner and be quiet, because I think everything we've learned up until this point has to come to a head, and all those untruths now have to be revealed, right? That's where we are in the world. Everything is coming to a point where it's coming to be revealed, and
Yeah.
what that's going to look like for a lot of people is a lot of chaos.
Yeah, and that is what's important about it too, because the whole point of finding your center and yourself and your truth is being able to distinguish what is just a opinion or a feeling you've had versus what is the actual truth, and allowing yourself to be hurt by the truth. And
Yeah.
that comes with age. But also, if you're denying age, then you're denying truth. If you're denying that forward progression and you're masking it and trying to delay it, then that's a reflection too on the outside, and why we have come to the place that we're at with politics and the earth, and how we care for ourselves and how we care for humanity and how we move forward with things and how we take responsibility and allow things to end. And you know what, Terry, it comes back to death. People are so uncomfortable with death, and that's what it is. They're so afraid of death and they're so uncomfortable with it. Yet it is the most inevitable thing that we have. And if you're so afraid, why wouldn't you live in a way that was honoring that, that the fact that that is coming, versus living a life in fear of that coming? And I think that's where people are starting to flip the switch. Like, okay, midlife, I feel like you start doing that. I feel like you start saying, you know what, I might be closer to death than I am being born.
Mhm.
And what does that mean for me? What do I want to accomplish before I leave? What do I want to see before I leave? How do I want my truth to be? How do I want to live in truth? Because
Yeah.
this doesn't feel good, or that doesn't feel good, or I knew this was wrong for so long and I kept my mouth shut. Now I'm ready to burn it down.
Yeah. I think that's a really great point because, having a son that passed so young, I always felt like his soul sort of lived beyond what his physical person knew, because he always lived life to the fullest and he always enjoyed what he did. And I look at it like on a subconscious level, he knew, so he lived like that. But as we're
Yeah.
moving towards that point, that pivotal point where we are getting closer to death, we're looking at those things. And how do we want to live our lives? Do we want to really live our lives keeping the peace anymore? Because when you keep the peace within your family, within your extended family, all you continue to do is lose yourself in that process. Well, I'll just be quiet because it makes everybody else happy around me, and I don't want to ruffle any feathers. And
Mhm.
so I think midlife brings you to a point and you're like, hey, look, I'm closer to this end than this end. And I
Yeah.
really want to, be treated well. I want to be treated fairly. And I hate injustice. So for me, especially where my human design and my astrology are, is injustice is a huge thing for me
Me
in
too.
my chart.
Me too. I can't let it go.
No, and as you should not.
Yeah.
Often we're taught, especially as women, to just sort of dumb ourselves down, to be quiet, to sit there, to act pretty. But nobody told me, at least. Let me just reframe that. Nobody told me, stand up, use your mouth, be seen, be heard, don't be afraid,
Yeah. Take up
stand out, be
space.
different.
Say when it's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah,
Say no. It was be
no.
nice. Be nice.
Yes, be
Stop
nice.
being rude. Be nice. Well, I don't want you touching me or looking at me like that. No, I don't want to go sit at your cousin's house who creeps me out and talks about the weirdest shit for 4 hours and I'm a child.
Right.
And now you're
Yeah.
like an adult. You're like, you know what? I don't really like those people. They sit and gossip about everybody and they're miserable balls of sadness. I don't have to go. I'm an adult
Yeah.
now. I can give myself that permission.
Yeah, and I think some of us still have those beliefs, right? That are back there, like you have to do it because it's family.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still experiencing it within my family. A tragedy happens or something, and then everybody flocks to the person that drug addict, messed up their life, can't get anything together, blah, 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 blah. But we all have to go pay bills now and do everything and be, oh, because they had a death in the family. It's like, what? That is the furthest freaking thing that you should be doing. But this is our cycle. It's like, forget all of the trauma, forget all of the truth, let's dive back in because some tragedy happened.
Yeah.
But then
It's crazy,
you're
isn't it?
Yes, it is insane to me. It's like you haven't talked to these people in over 10 years. You have no idea who they are. Last time you left them, they look pretty much the same place that you left them in. But because a death happened, yeah, let's start fresh. Let's get to start all over and negate all the wisdom that we've gained all these years and apply it.
To go back to the old same way of doing things.
That's
And I think,
family.
whoever's out there listening today, and if you're listening to Keegan and I, usually know that we touch upon subjects that are sort of at the edge. And this
Yeah,
is one of
we do.
them because I think this is one of them because I think that we all say, yeah, like, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then something happens and we go revert back again. And I think
Yeah.
part of that also is our learning process because we don't
Mhm.
always know, and then we do it again, and we're like, damn, I know I shouldn't have done that because I feel like shit afterwards. And we talk about a lot of times, like when you are, especially around your family, it can be heavy, and sometimes you leave there in a lot of sort of distress on yourself, your body,
Yeah.
your mind, your soul. It's drained, and that's how the feeling that you understand, you know that you're different, but it's
Mhm.
about going through that. So we're not going to do it the first time. You're not going to get on your bike and ride your bike the
No,
first time, and this is the
no.
same thing. We're not going to say, we're over here on these subjects and my family's over here, so we're going to meet somewhere in the middle, but we're going to go over and we're going to feel all of that stuff again. We're going to be taught what to say, what to do, how to act.
Yeah.
And then the more we do it, the more we start to see our eyes are open, that veil is lifted, and we can no longer participate in things that are so low frequency that they drain
Yes.
us and they drain our family. And we see how that affects everybody, right?
Yeah. And especially as a woman, like you are literally trained to self sacrifice everywhere and everything. And you and I've brushed on this many times. And when you come into this midlife, which you're well into it more than I am. I'm definitely 2 feet in, but not, over the head yet. I think that you really start seeing that in midlife, that you're like, hold on a second. I need reciprocated relationships. I need relationships that feel just as safe as the safety I provide to others. I need reassurance that I provide to others. I need the nurturing that I provide to others. So you start looking at the things around you and seeing where things are not reciprocated. And if now, I'm not saying don't help people that deserve to be helped and things like this, but you can't keep going into a situation that there is no reciprocation, even if that reciprocation is gratitude or if that reciprocation is change, because it
Right.
doesn't always have to look like a monetary thing. It can be physically change in someone's life or change in behavior and things like that. But you really start evaluating relationships differently. I don't know if you agree with this, but you want reciprocation. It's no
Yes.
longer self-sacrifice. It's I know what I can bring to the table and what kind of environment and what kind of love I can give. I deserve that back. And I'm not going to enter new contracts or new relationships or new interactions if I already know you can't reciprocate the
Hmm.
things I need.
Yes.
And
And
that
it's not
sounds
to
very
say,
crappy, but it's the truth.
right. But it's not to say there's anything bad about that because you're just on a different level of knowing. And I think that only comes from your experience in midlife with living, right? There's no degree we can give you, there's no certification. All you can
No.
do, and all this comes from, is living a life. And I think midlife makes it so different because these are not things that you've learned intellectually. You've
No.
not gone out and sought ways to do this. This is
You didn't
something
take a
innate
class on
within
it.
you. Right. Which is great because I love classes. I'm a lifetime learner.
But
But you
life
can't,
is a giant class, like you signed
it
up for
is.
this human experience as a teaching experience. So,
Yes, I want to premise this question like, and we've talked about this sometimes, but why do life's hardest seasons become our greatest teachers? There's so much wisdom. And I think that's where beautiful chaos is heading. There's so much wisdom that is found in this beautiful chaos that we don't talk about enough. Why don't we talk about the hardship? We come on here and we'll say, like, afterwards, oh, well, this is what I went through. But what about the nitty gritty and getting down into it? Because I think those are the moments that are our greatest teachers. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. And it's because we learn so much about ourselves. And we learn so much about ourselves by allowing ourselves to see the darkness and to sit within the darkness and decide how we're going to formulate and move after that. And I feel like it's different to support somebody in that chaos, right? than to do it for them, or
Yes.
to self-sacrifice yourself in someone else not suffering what they should. And when I say this with a grain of salt, because being a mother is full of a lot of lessons. You don't want your children to get hurt, right? But when
Yes.
you constantly fix the problem or give in or do what they want or give them what they want constantly, and there's never any struggle, there's never any disappointment, there's never any life learning lesson, then you're denying that person a chance to see themselves. You're denying that person a chance to believe in themselves. You're denying that person a pathway to connect to something deeper inside of themselves. And we can no longer do this as humanity. We are making it far too easy to bypass a lot of very necessary lessons and seasons and blessings. And it's because we do not want to deal with that feeling. But
Yeah.
it's so important. We learn who we are to a core. We really learn if our nature is truly good. We truly learn about ourselves. And if all of the things that society and people have told us is true, you learn that about yourself. And
Yeah.
that becomes your way forward. That becomes your confidence. That becomes how you learn to navigate and trust yourself and have faith and surrender to a higher good.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I remember when my boys were younger and I always thought I don't want them to feel any adversity. I don't want them to know the
Yeah,
world is hard. But from a young age, they understood that the world was hard. And as a mother, sometimes, and especially as they get older into their teen years, sometimes you have to watch them fail and do make choices
yeah,
and do things. You know, your job is there to guide them through the way, but if you're taking away the experience of it, it gets in the way of them learning for themselves, you know, who I want to be around, who I want to attract. Are these people really my friends or are they not my friends? And in
exactly.
today's society, there is none of that because we constantly have them bombarded with some sort of entertainment. They're always entertained. And then when you take that entertainment away, they're sort of in a lost space. I don't know how to function. I don't know how to talk. I don't know
Yeah.
how to,
If I'm not being constantly overwhelmed and distracted, if
and I
someone's not
haven't
telling me what to
experienced
do,
that. Right? What do
yeah,
I do? I'm so scared. What do I do? Um, you
or I'm
know,
bored.
we had
Great.
the
That is the
chance.
perfect place to be. Bored. Go be bored.
Bored. Yes.
Yeah, go be bored.
Because what happens
I
in
saw a
boredom?
yeah, I saw a really great thing the other day, and it said like God gave us sex, we created porn. God gave us food, and I if you don't like God, universe, earth, whatever. God gave us God gave us food, we created poison. God gave us entertainment and we created distraction. God gave us community and we create social media. It's like, this is such truth.
Yeah. We're dropping the truth bombs today here on Beautiful
Yeah.
Chaos.
And it's literally because you can't be bored.
Yes. And in that boredom, what happens when you're bored? What happens to you? You have to say, well, why am I bored? What should I be doing? Should I be doing something else? Is there something else that's calling me? I'm happy with what I'm doing. You know, how about I create in that space? If we never had the chance for, that's why I'm such an advocate for meditation. If we don't ever have the chance to shut our brains down for 5 minutes, it's like your computer. What happens? It's going to get overloaded. It's going to blow the fuck up. So
Yep.
hello, people. Shut your brain down for
I
5 minutes.
I've been saying boredom is meditation. Boredom is meditation. If
Yes.
there's nothing in your mind that you can freaking think of to do, then you're already meditating. Sit the hell down and think.
Yeah. I love it.
Walk in the circle board. Stumble outside and walk in the grass board. I don't know. You're already meditating. Your brain needs a break. That's why you're bored. Your
Yeah.
body needs a break. It's why you're bored. It needs a
Absolutely.
shift. It might not need a rest, but it needs a break of whatever you're doing.
You
It
know, and
doesn't
I think
like
it's
it.
in midlife, I think that's what we miss a lot because in midlife, we're still trying to do. And whether our body is slowing us down or our mind is slowing us down, we've come to a place where Being is more natural than doing. And it comes back to that masculine feminine energy. If we
Yeah,
lived in our masculine our entire lives and now we're moving into a feminine energy, we're not always going to be able to bring that feminine energy up to where that masculine energy's been. That takes time. And then we have
it
to
does.
pull that masculine energy back. And then maybe we stay too much in the feminine and we're not bringing the masculine up. So it's like a perfect dance of balance, especially in midlife, because how many of us do things that we don't want to do, especially in midlife?
Yes, and midlife, I think, is another chance to embrace boredom. So when I was saying like those distractions and pornography and food and all and jobs and families and work, this becomes a pattern. It becomes an identity. And we get bored, especially in midlife. And then that's usually when people create the most chaos because they're bored and they don't know what direction. And the direction is in, the direction is okay, what's not working? What is working? Maybe I want to daydream again. Maybe I
Yeah.
still want to put on a helmet and elbow pads and knee pads and learn how to roller skate because I always wanted to roller skate. Like, whatever. And this is your midlife crisis. This is your turning point. It's because the boredom re enters. Now
Yeah.
you're back in a pattern, you're in an identity, we're in a cycle. Okay, it's familiar. We know the next day. Wake up, go to bed, do this, do that. Wake up, go to bed, do this, do that. Let the boredom embrace, even if it shows you ugly shit, because that is the truth. You don't like your husband in boredom. Maybe the truth is you don't like him.
Yes. And
If you
in
don't
that
like
truth,
yourself in boredom, maybe you don't like the ego you have formed.
yeah. In truth, you have to look at that, and that can only be found inwards, right? I can't tell
Yes.
you, oh, you don't like your husband, so really you don't like him anytime. But only you can tell yourself that. We look so much for other people to tell us, should I stay in this relationship? Should I stay at this job? Should I have children? Should I move across country? When only you can give yourself those answers. But if you don't have that inner connection with yourself, you're not going to be able to cultivate those answers for yourself, and you're always going to be looking
Yeah.
externally for those answers. And I think that's a lot what beautiful chaos is about becoming,
Yeah.
because in the beautiful chaos of becoming, it is about the boredom, it's about the creation, it's about the hatred, it's about the love, it's about
Mhm.
duality of all of these things that exist within us that sometimes we don't want to look at anymore.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. And that sometimes it is ugly, but that is the truth of it. Everything is not beautiful all the time. And that
Yeah.
roping it right back into our beauty standards and holding on to youth, getting old is not beautiful, but it is. It may not be physically beautiful in the model that has been displayed to you, but
Hmm.
man, tell me an old couple sitting on a porch of land that they worked their entire lives running around with grandchildren that are their legacy and seeing their children grow and watching sunsets and being able to recap on a life. Like, if you don't think that that's beautiful, nobody can sell it to you. If
Hmm.
you think being plastic on, on a front porch one day with nobody around you is beautiful, then that is your truth. But I think those are the beautiful things about being old. It's seeing the life in reflection instead of regret. It's seeing the
Yeah.
life in like stories and love and creation instead of fear and regret and wish I did this, wish I did that, didn't live this, didn't live that. But that's what we wear on our face.
Yeah. And that's because a lot of times we've been taught this negative concept of to look for things that no longer, to look for things that we don't have, to look outside of us for
Yeah.
these things, these materialistic things that we think define us. And midlife is really about looking at those things again and saying, hey, you know, I lived this great life. Maybe I didn't have everything figured out, and maybe I didn't have everything that I wanted on a material level. But this is what I did have. And I had this beautiful life. Like, I always look at my life and I think my husband and I have had such an adventurous life together.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine if we had not done those things. And yes, did it cost us money? Yes. Did it cost us sometimes loss? Yes, it did. We made choices maybe that weren't so good, but you don't focus on those choices. We focus on
No,
the time we were able to spend together. And, like we had no control over COVID. We had no control over what that would do to our business and our life. So why not embrace that period rather than sitting there and crying about it and saying, well, this is what COVID took away from me. Um, you know, so
I
much beauty
remember
through that.
sitting in front of the water when we met talking about that exactly because we were knee deep in COVID
Knee deep
and
in it still.
yes, and all four of us were in complete agreement, all four of us, our husbands and you and I, because we were having a beautiful conversation, that like, man, I heard the birds differently. I heard that, like, I literally heard the earth
Yeah,
wake up in the morning with COVID because everything slowed down. We had time to sit and talk. It wasn't like, oh, I have to rush because I have a Zoom call at this time. I can only have a 15-minute, coffee with you. Like it was
right.
all these things that returned. And then you were like, I actually give a shit about my health again because I have time to do the squats if I want to. I have time to put it
Yeah,
in. Like we were talking about all of this time we were getting while
yeah,
everyone else was falling apart in fear. Like, we're gonna all die. The sky's falling. Wear your mask. Yeah. And we're over here sharing drinks, sharing food. The girls are all running around barefoot. People were camping. Like, that campground didn't feel like the world we were supposed to be fearing. It felt like a bunch of people that actually had time to enjoy life. You heard it. You heard children laughing. You heard the
mhm,
families barbecuing. Like, remember you and I were laughing. We're like, oh, it must be dinner time because you started smelling the smoke and you heard ting, 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 start to ting, 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 and you heard all the kids starting to come in. Like, that's the stuff we're missing.
yeah. How,
We're
and it's
missing.
it's funny because at that time, like everybody had said to me, well, oh my God, weren't you scared? And oh my God, did you have to wear masks wherever you went? And oh my God, was it like this? And I was like, it wasn't like any of that. And so, that really
No,
shifted my mindset to the belief that I create my reality because I didn't have any of those experiences other people had. We were
no.
living free. And when we met you, it was like such a breath of fresh air that we were able to connect, and I knew that we
And we even
would, and
did
had
stuff
we
like
not done
this.
that.
Terry, let's go kayaking tomorrow. You know what COVID did? We didn't have lines. We didn't have to wait. We weren't told no. We showed up, we got on kayaks, and we went kayaking. Like the world wasn't like waiting anymore. It was happening. It was present. We went to
Yeah.
the restaurant that usually you wait, what, 90 minutes to 2 hours, the review said?
Yep.
Immediately.
Right
Watched a
in.
beautiful sunset, ate a beautiful meal. Like COVID
Yep.
was beautiful.
Yeah. It was such a different world. And I know even I had some family that would not see us. And I was like, that's really sad because
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of time on this planet. And, that's your choice. And I'm not going to force you to do it, but that's your choice.
I
But,
want to die in love. I don't want to die in fear. So,
yeah.
whatever that means.
Whatever fear has been propagated throughout eons and eons before us and after us, it's really up to you to
Yeah,
find out what you'd rather live in. And I'd rather live in love than fear always.
me too. I would happily die in love. I'm sure I did before.
Absolutely. So beautiful chaos isn't really about having this all figured out, right? Keegan and I often talk about you're not going to have it all figured out. It's about trusting yourself enough to walk into this unknown space that we're entering. And it could be certainly something that keeps us small, but it can also be something that this curiosity within us is going to keep us alive, right? We're moving into something in this uncertainty that's sacred. And I think the sacred space of a woman, excuse me, is very necessary for her, not only to find out who
Yeah.
she is, what she wants, what she believes, all of those things that she was told that really don't exist for her, and how different she was, and how unique, and how beautiful. I think midlife sort of
Yeah.
flips that script on everything, and you can look at it as a death sentence, or you can look at it as this own beautiful becoming of yourself.
And surrendering to the truth. Like, I know that sounds so cliche, but I just said to
Mhm.
you before we popped on live, this morning, I danced in the kitchen, and I told you I had just a dress on, nothing on, letting it all sag, flop, clap, flap, whatever. And just
I
enjoying the
love that.
moment with my daughter and the intention of why I was dancing. I was not dancing because I, you know, want to feel all the flap and everything happening. That's not why. I was dancing because I've been working on my nervous system. I've been working somatically to tone things down. I in midlife, things start falling apart that you ignore, the truth. And I had a journaling moment earlier in the week, and I was down in myself, like, you need to be skinny and you're not, all these things, right? Picking myself apart basically for being a 40-year-old woman with some chunk on me and not this and not that. Like, the opposite of what I'm preaching to you right now, right? So I'm having this journaling, and it was this surrender moment because I told myself the truth. Okay, Keegan,
Yeah.
you want abs? You can only eat chicken, my love. You can only eat chicken. Okay, no more carbs, no more pasta. All these beautiful meals you love to make and nourish yourself with. That all goes out the window. You have to be so fucking strict. You want abs at 40 years old, and you want this body that looks like a 20-year-old at 40 years old. You have to be so strict. Well, if you know anything about me, I hate fucking rules, and I hate being strict, and I hate being told what to do, because I am a lover, I'm a creator, I'm an in the moment person. If I want to do it and I feel like I want to do it, I want to do it. So the surrender in me was, you can have that body. You don't ever want to be the person you have to be to have that body. So when the hell are you going to love yourself? When are you going to love the flab? Because it's fab. And when are you going to, because it's you, it's me. If that doesn't work for you, I'm not telling you go get fat. I'm saying you have to surrender to the truth. The truth is, Keegan is lazy in that aspect of my life. I don't want to change that, and I don't need to change that. What I need to do is change how I feel about myself now.
Yeah.
And that's what the dancing taught me this morning, because I started feeling all of that. And I was like, ew. But then I said, hold on. You're literally dancing because of this. You need to stop. You need to relax. Your body's beautiful. It brought earth, like life. It has lived moments. It has lived experiences. It's going to live more. We're tapping back in, and that is who we are. And then I started like loving it and making a joke with Livy and like flapping myself all around and stuff. And it became so fun. And then I was like, see, I love my body. I wouldn't be able to create this right now if I didn't have that,
Yeah,
And
I always
that's
think
the
about
ugly part
that.
of surrendering too.
I think about that beautiful goddess doll that you gave me, that little figurine, and she's got a belly and a hips, and it's like it's so true because we've given life. We've given life out of this body.
Yes.
You know, why have we been taught not to love it? We've given you one of the greatest
Yes.
gifts ever created. Why are we taught not to love that vessel that it came out of?
Exactly. As long as I'm healthy, why does it freaking matter? Who told
Right.
me it has to matter?
Well,
Who
yeah,
told
that's the
me?
standards again that, people are showing us, and this is how you should look, and this is how you
Yeah.
should act, and this is how you should be. And then there's people like Keegan and I will come along and say, screw that. Exactly what you said. Don't tell me what to do. I'm
Yeah,
not
like
doing
don't.
it.
Just don't.
Uh, My
Because
husband
I'm
laughs all the
immediately
time.
going to rebel. Immediately. As soon as you start saying you have to, I'm just
Or don't do it because then I'm going to go do it. He's
yes.
figured out if he doesn't want me to do something, not to say don't do it because then I'm going to go do it.
Except when it comes to eating the cheeseburger. I'm eating it anyway. I freaking love them.
Cheeseburgers. Yeah, I haven't had cheeseburger in a while. Cheeseburger's not my thing. Mine is like you, the pasta. Give me the pasta.
Yeah, I do. And
I'm
I love
Italian.
cooking
Give me the
meals.
pasta all day, every day.
Yeah, and I love cooking meals. I want to put the whole freaking stick of butter. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
care.
and that's because if it all wasn't poison. Have you looked in the store? Tim and I were going through the store last week, and because we're trying to watch what we eat more chicken and broccoli, because like you, we have to sort of change our lifestyle. But we were looking at stuff, and we're like, you see how many ingredients is in this? It's like, he likes things that are like, oh,
Right.
convenient. But you can't buy chicken that's already cut up and cooked because it's convenient, because it's full of what? Chemicals.
Crap.
You have to
Yep.
buy the
Yep.
actual
That's
chicken and
another,
cook it.
Terry, it is another ugly truth people will just not accept. They will literally say, well, if it was that poisonous, it wouldn't be on the shelf. Just eat it. Everybody eats it. What's the problem? All those ingredients, they're safe. The FDA said it's safe. It's safe. Just do it. But it's like, no, dude. Polysorbate 80, you know what that is? It's mold. It's freaking mold. They put mold in stuff to keep it from expiring. Guys,
Anything with
if
phosphorus or
if
cellulose, it's like, oh my God. Like, can you really find
wood pulp,
anything?
cellulose is wood pulp. If I gave
Yep.
my daughter a bowl of sawdust, you would call the state on me. But let me eat it in my cheese. Let me eat it
Right.
in my
That's
cheese,
okay.
but you called it cellulose.
Mhm.
So, it's not wood. It's freaking wood shavings.
I know. It's a sad
Microplastics.
world
Why
we
are
live in.
microplastics in water?
That's a whole nother topic. We'll get there. We'll
But
get
this is
there.
an ugly truth because, like you just said, Tim likes stuff that's convenient, and convenience is not health.
No.
And that is a truth that may not feel good, but
Mhm.
it's fact. It's facts.
Yep. And you used to have the time to do it. We don't have the time to do it anymore. I was thinking, especially us, because we're getting to that age and I am semi-retired. Um, and he's still working. And I was like, I don't want to. And he's got this, he's very analytical. So he's got this plan in his head. And I'm so the opposite.
That's his
That's
job.
why we work well together.
Plan away. That's your job, divine masculine. Plan away.
That's why we work well together, because I'm like,
Yes, plan
fly
away.
by the seat of my pants. But
Mm-hmm.
I lost my train of thought. But like, moving into midlife, and we're getting to that point in our age where we're starting to think about these things, and what do we want? And I know it's great to make plans. Oops, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm saying you should do. Keegan and I, what I think we always say is you should do what feels best for you, right? We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to tell you what we do, what works for us. And even though Keegan and I are a lot alike, we still do things very differently as well. So everybody's
We
so
do.
unique and different that you're going to enter this stage of midlife. And if you're feeling like we're feeling and you're in a space where we are, that, and I feel like a lot of people it's happening in, because women are remembering, right? They're
They are.
remembering the truths that were held within them. They're having more dreams. They're reading more books. They're seeing that the wrinkles really hold this wisdom within them. And so our show really is about all of that. It's about your lived experience that holds authority within you. And midlife isn't asking us to stay in a place of youth. It's asking us to become powerful. And how do we do that? And that is by calling out those pieces of you, like you said, that are sort of
Yeah.
uncomfortable. Looking at those pieces that are
And
sort of
find
uncomfortable.
places and I think finding places in your life where you can live freely and wildly and embracing those parts of your life. Because you said a lot of people are like coming around to it and awakening to it, but a lot of people are crashing out too because they
Yes.
can't handle it anymore. They can't handle the facade, they can't handle keeping it all together, and their body's failing them, or their relationships are failing them, or their career. And so many of us are paving a path, forward that looks way different than the women that came before us. And I think that is the coolest part of it. Like you can
Me
literally
too.
see the new path like separating and branching off and creating a new legacy, a new future for what women are.
And then our daughters, right? Because they are the next generation. They are the ones that are
Yes,
really all that work that we've been putting in all of these years and doing all these things. And then our daughters come along and they are really the ones that are going to be living it, right? It's going to be beautiful.
exactly. It
Hmm.
is. And it's that whole idea of like planting a tree that you're never going to eat fruit from, because that's what I feel like raising a child is. It's like you're raising something for the world, and that is your fruit. You know what I mean? how they're taught to act is going to just steamroll how everything looks, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So I have one final question for you before we finish up today. What do you think is the most revolutionary thing a woman in midlife can do?
Free herself.
Free yourself. I love that. So
Yep.
many of us have
Whenever,
been chained and confined to this box, this cage that we've put
yep.
ourselves in, that society has put
Free
us in.
yourself. Don't wait for anyone to do it. Free yourself.
Yeah. I
Decide what
love
is
that.
holding you back, decide what your prison is, and say, found the door, found the lock, we're getting this open.
Yep.
And ride the
And if
wave.
you know the truth, like you said, if you know that you don't want to just eat chicken every night, that's okay too. You know the truth
Yeah, like
within
I'm
you.
not judging. Listen, more power to the girls that can keep those schedules, man, and be like disciplined. I don't have it. I was not put on this earth to be disciplined and eat the same thing every day. I was put on this earth to enjoy elegance, enjoy food, enjoy art. Like I know. So I'm not going to try to be something I know I'm not.
Right. And that's part of that revolution.
Yeah,
Understanding it and enjoying it. It's not
absolutely.
about becoming somebody else.
No, and it's
But
surrendering. And once
you.
I gave up, when I surrender to that and give up the idea that I need to be, it frees me in so many other areas. And you don't realize it, but it really does. That I'm not being guilted every time I pick up something, not being
Yeah.
guilted when I put clothes on, not being guilted. You know, it's
Yeah.
so silly, but it's true
Mm-hmm.
because
Well,
it's
this
just
has
who I
been a
am.
great show. I love our discussions and always having you here and sharing our beautiful wisdom, combined wisdom of many years.
Yes. Many
And I want to
lives, many years.
Yes, many, many. So, and I want to end with this because revolutions don't always begin in the streets, do they? Sometimes they begin quietly inside one woman, inside many women. And who decides? Who decides really for you is you. And that woman who will never abandon herself again on this journey and this process of beautiful chaos. So, thank you for joining us. And thank you, Keegan, for always coming and sharing your wisdom here with me.
Yes, thank you for having me.